Send Help is the best reviewed movie of the year. Critics are roaring.
Let's see.
You're a hunt.
Okay, sorry, it's going through an ad right now. There we go. There we go. Maybe it's working. Maybe we're back.
You look blonde?
I look like I'm live. I look alive.
Yep.
Hmm.
You're alive.
I'm alive. I'm alive. Let's let Discord know. Let's see if this works.
Go.
Maybe I'm back? Question mark? Check. Stream. Let's see. Oh my god. The anxiety, the heartbreak, the despair. Just right when streamers come in, right when raiders come in, that's when it all crashes. No, wait. Why does it say connecting? Why does it say connecting? Are we good? Okay. You're back, save me. Listen, I'll save you as long as stream keeps working. Why did the stream go off as soon as we had new raiders? Oh, thank you for the bits. That's very kind of you, Lambda. We live again. Yeah, well, hopefully we stay alive. I don't understand why it kicked us off. We have the Ethernet. Is it the Ethernet cables? That's like the fast one, the good one. Fiber something. We got that one. Goes into maintenance mode. You need to hydrate for the if I hydrate and that keeps the stream going, maybe I'll go do here's your sippy. Here's a free sippy.
Go drown yourself.
That's your free sippy. There's only one logical explanation. The raiders did it. That's so mean. How could they do that to me? I was so nice.
Go with an attack.
I was welcoming them. I was saying hi and everything. Are you just gonna leave your phone here? Is that what's needed? Okay, I'm sorry, Roots. Thank you. But yeah, people will say like, oh, just do a collab, and I'm like, I literally don't have internet. Like, nothing is on. I cannot even... If I can't stream, I can't do a collab. I don't know how you think that's any easier. Oh my goodness. It just seemed like the logical solution in the moment. Jesus Christ, why did it all go down like that? I don't understand. I don't understand internet. I'm just... Ghosts, do not drink my water. I can't live with my water. You can't fix internet, I'm not God. Alright, everybody. So, before there's any more issues... I'm literally so upset that it all crashed right when we had new raiders in. I think we were around like 20 viewers for a split second there. I was like, oh. If you were, we wouldn't be hurt hunting you. Welcome back. Thanks, Petty. Oh my goodness. I'm so bad. That was the first tech issue of the night, and it happened right after the raiders got here. What timing. What great timing. I'm a professional streamer now, I swear. So let's go ahead and get into my critiques before any other issues happen. But no, I think in fantasy, hopefully Bobicus is here again. Hopefully Bob's back. Yeah, but I don't see how the connections would be fixed. Exactly. I'm like, yeah, but it wouldn't. Okay, Bobicus is here. So unless I feel like I understood more about the creatures that are the golems as soon as it said like the golems are sight to behold. I'm like, okay, yeah, they're clay, they're these big hulking guys, that's why they can do this, that's why yeah, I got an idea in my head as soon as it said golems. I think a lot of fantasy readers would understand golems better. Animates, if that's in your world, you're like, no, I want a new word for golems in this world, in this fantasy world, then hey, more power to you. But what happened? What happened? What happened? What happened? What happened? What happened? Please, 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 please. No? I don't know what this pop-up is. Go away. Oh, thank you for the follow. And hey, welcome on in. Welcome to Cryptid Cult. You're open to doing Cryptid's post streams whenever she crashes. Don't jinx me. I really don't crash very often. It's happened, what, this is like the second time, major time it's happened? Otherwise, it was during some collabs with Penny when we were figuring stuff out. But when I'm doing solo streams, I think this is only the second time it's happened. Is Cryptid just getting a text team? Am I gonna be the new monarch? Am I gonna be the scuff person? Am I gonna be the new Amelie and just be known for scuff? Please no. Our collabs are always cursed for some reason. And I think that's the thing too, Penny. Like, your stream will be working fine solo, and my stream will be working fine solo. So we're like, oh, everything's good. We're both like, internet's great, everything's fine. And then we like collab. And then suddenly there's like new issues we've never ever run into before. Me eating my grapes like a lavish Greek aristocrat while scribbling my scribing my next submission. I love that. I love that imagery. Good for you. You're living the high life. I'm over here, I broke into a sweat as soon as the stream crashed. Dear God. But yeah, I think golems would work for the story more than animates. If there's a particular reason why you like... What did that do? Why you like the animate and the animates more, then hey, like, it's your story, it's your world building. If that works, it works. But if you wanted the readers to understand a little bit more quickly what these creatures are and how they're being used, I think just calling them golems is pretty good. And I don't think it will confuse most readers. Most fantasy readers will get it. They'll click. You have chapter 4 in for a future stream? I doubt that's today though. Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see how things go. So my first thing is, like, maybe it's not even a critique, it's a suggestion. I think Golem might work a little bit better. It's an idea, it's a suggestion. For critique, there was a point when we suddenly switched to the we perspective for the writer and Kaba, and their golem. That one did get a little wonky. I got what you were trying to do, this idea that they're like linked and that all their motions and stuff, they're doing it together, right? So it's kind of because the pilot is controlling Kaba, so I got what you were going for, but it was a little bit clunky. I think you can maybe rearrange it or rearrange the lines actually to make it a bit more clear that's what you're going for. That the we is going for, they are psychically linked and one is being controlled. So when one's doing something, it kind of feels like the other is too. I think it could be either clarified, or if you don't want to, I think you could get rid of it. But it could be a little bit altered here to make it more easily understood. Especially because sometimes it was even like Kaba and I instead of the we, and sometimes there was even I. Sometimes it was Kaba, sometimes it was I, and sometimes it was we. So I feel like if you did want to go with the thing of like, oh no, like they're psychically linked, everything they're doing, they're both doing, because of that mind-mental connection, then that whole section should be we. You had to split it from what it was originally. Yeah, you're doing some hard work and edits in all 3 of your books, right? Yeah, you're working hard over there, Chatty Matty. You're doing the work. Huge props for doing the work. So I think that would be my first edit. I did notice that. I'm like, oh, that felt a little clunky with the we, but then also the I and Kaba. So that's my first critique. Otherwise, I kind of liked the scene here of them all talking. Where's the Goodman? When do we finally learn the Goodman Anon? Here's where we finally learn the name. So we learn our character's name, which is Anon, all the way down here, and it's from the Marsetto talking with them, right? I'm wondering if Marsetto could talk earlier, back when they're first releasing Kaba, and have that conversation. That way we know our main character's name is Anon. Yeah, I do. I understand that the we versus Kaba versus I describes different things, but it's not reading naturally, and it's not super clear at times. It was a little bit of a struggle with that sequence because it's switching so much. And I get, that's why I said I understand what you're going for. I get the vibe, but the vibe was a little murky. The vibe needed some clarity, needed to be ironed out more. That's why I'm like, if you want to keep it, which you could, it needs to be reworked a little bit to get that clarity up to the next level. And then it could be a really cool thing, right? That every time they're controlling the golem, you switch to that we perspective. And it could be a really cool sequence throughout the piece. And it could be a cool thing. If it's something that you're like, I don't really want to fuck with it that much, I don't want to put that much work into it, then I'm like, yeah, you could get rid of it and it would still be good and coherent. That's what I'm saying. You could do either or, but whichever choice you make, it would require some changes. But otherwise, I think it's a cool concept. It just needs that little freshen up for clarity. And what else? But yeah, otherwise I was wondering if, because we see Marsetto in the first part releasing Kaba, and then later on when Kaba comes back and then tying up Kaba, that's when we learn our character's name. And I'm like, oh, I wonder if that conversation could have happened during the releasing Kaba's manacles, and we would have learned, oh, okay, our character is Anon. And that's just a little suggestion. That way because with your other story you submitted before, we never learned the character's first name. And it was pretty good and coherent enough. I'm like, okay, yeah, it makes sense. We don't need to learn our character's name, right? And that worked. Here in this one, we do learn our main character's name, but it's just later than is normal. So I'm wondering if we could just switch those scenes around and it's just happening a little earlier. But otherwise, for the first 3 pages, I don't think those are very big major edits. We're put right into the world. We're put right into the setting, right, of getting these golems ready, these animates ready to go out and do stuff and fight another wild animate and come back. We're transporting these prisoners. It does a really good job of like, yeah, we are already here in the scene, in the world. It describes things as we need to know them, but without doing any too big lore dumps. I feel like the starting point you have here is a really interesting starting point. So I'm like, yeah, it's a pretty good opener. It's really just like more of those technical things of reworking that one we sequence and maybe moving that naming our character conversation earlier up. But for the first 3 pages, that ain't bad. I think it's pretty strong. So yeah, before sorry if I'm like rushing it. I think in the back of my mind, I'm like, so like, please don't let the stream crash again. Please don't let the stream crash again without me giving the actual critique. Lord knows that would be my luck. Oh my goodness. Now is your free sippy. Who's next in queue, chat? Let's go ahead and find out. So let me thank you so much, Bobicus. It is always a pleasure reading your work. I'm always so excited to see it. I hope my critiques help, even when they're a little flustered and I'm just trying to get the words out before there's any more tech issues. So let me go back up Bobicus, then we can go ahead and delete. And I hope they will resubmit in the future. That way we can keep reading. What a cool story it is. If Honeyboy is in. Hi, Zakara. It's good to see you. If Honeyboy is in, you are next. And then if Honeyboy is not in right now, then it's Lambda. Either Honeyboy or Lambda. So let's go ahead and see. I'll delete this message. I think that was just Bobicus resubmitting it, so I'll delete that one too. I'm trying to clean up the chat a little bit. Tech is just teching today. Lambda, then me. Yes, if the others don't come, pretty much. Honeyboy is present. Okay, good. Oh, that's right. Honeyboy is here. This is the different name thing, right? Honeyboy is Zatra. Okay. Let's go ahead and get that up. This one is actually really interesting because I have already read it briefly. I actually already have some thoughts about it after we get done with our reading today. Cryptid roots. Noir. There we go. Now it's at least night mode. Honeyboy just came in. I always mask to impress. Nice, nice, nice. So yeah, see, I was over here like talking with you, and I'm like, oh, da-da-da-da-da, is Honeyboy in? That's just me being silly. Just resubmitted already? Did I already delete it? Wait, go check. Bobicus, please go check and make sure I didn't just delete it. If I just deleted it, go ahead and resubmit. I'm so sorry. My bad. I'm trying to be a good cryptid, and that doesn't always work out in my favor. Oh no, it's good. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Everyone, I'm gonna take a deep breath, and then we're not gonna have tech issues anymore, right? Are we ready? Are we good? Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Now we're all good. It's gonna be a wonderful stream tonight. Anyway, this is it Iker or Iker? I've heard people actually pronounce it both ways. We're so ready. Deep breath. How about some water? Okay. Here's just. Okay, here's your hydrated hydrate. Ecor. Yeah, I've heard some people say it like an I. They're saying the I as in like Icor. I'm like, huh, that's weird, but I thought it was like Ecor. Central Park welcomed me with the bite of its 15-degree frost-laden air. Use both pronunciations in your story. Really? Huh. Sacrifices my tech goddess. Oh my goodness. So anyway, just as a quick note before I forget it, for those who don't know, this is just a quick thing. This story does have vampires in it. I had a brief thing just to make sure it was good earlier. This does have to do with vampires. It's a vampire story, vampire spooky story. So Central Park welcomed me with the bite of its 15-degree frost-laden air. I love the idea of starting it off with the bite, but it's the bite of this cold, chilly air. I'm like, yes. It's all tasty writing right here. I love the idea of using bite in this scenario and for the start of it. I was wondering if the 15 degrees, if saying the exact degree with the numbers right here was necessary. Oh, you wanted editor notes before this, right? Editor notes? What editor notes? Oh, you mean like, do you want to tell chat what this is about? Do you want to let them go ahead and know what this is about? You can please feel free. It's a little different because I've already read this one. I've already skimmed through the entire thing like twice while we were chatting about it. There were questions on if it was okay for stream, so I'm like, oh, let me quickly read through it real quick to make sure it's okay for stream. And it is. It's fine. So if you guys are wondering, like, why did Cryptid read this one? That's why. All I should say is this was based off a nightmare I had. Oh, spooky. Super spooky. But yeah, knowing that this has vampire-like creatures or monsters in it, I love the intro talking about the bite of the frost-laden air. But as a quick note, I think the 15 degree like throws off the rhythm of the sentence. So I love the imagery, I love the sentence, except for the 15 degree bit. If I had that minor line edit critique, I'll get rid of the 15 degree. Do you read through all of them before stream? No, I do not. I read them live on stream for the first time. This is the one time I've read something really quickly before stream, and it was just because they reached out like, hey, I'm not sure if it's okay for stream. You've mentioned you don't want spicy, smexy stuff happening, but it has vampires. Is sometimes there's some horniness in the genre. Is this okay? And I was like, oh, okay. Like you're worried. I just quickly read through it to make sure it was okay for stream. That's the only reason I happen to know. ahead of time for this case. But otherwise, no, you guys are seeing me read blindly live on stream. Central Park welcomed me with the bite of its 15-degree frost-laden air. I was in the throes of delirium, with only my ex's flannel for warmth, and socks that were already tattered during my brief flight from my apartment, back over on Fifth Avenue. My muscles burned in protest, and my extremities stung with numbness, but my home was no longer my sanctuary. Emanating from my flat, the police station, Coney Island, and through every congested street of the city, was a pall that hung in the atmosphere. Somehow, I could just tell. This biohazard was an event that was going to change the course of humankind, even if that meant we were careening to a dead end. My mind was erratic with the terror a cat might experience while fighting its way out of a burlap bag after being hurled into a lake. I was a little bit run on. The human faculties that proudly developed over the course of 6 million years flickered into my being like the ostentatious Sony billboard that could be seen all the way from 42nd Street. I had to find some place to hide in the squalid, rectangular woodland. Existential despair threatened to halt me in my tracks, but I pushed it to the gnarled, ugly cellar of my disintegrating mind. My feet might be taken by frostbite before sunrise, but I didn't feign a flowery smile through years of fear from Russian ICBMs, only to fall apart before this new, shapeless fear. Blah, 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 blah. Hold on. I'm not even talking right. Or was it actually new? I guess I should start from the beginning. My name is Ellie Marsh. I grew up in Winfield, Louisiana. I thought about going to Tulane for journalistic studies, but decided New York City might be the change of pace that I needed. Summer and fall ran their courses, and even though the city was ragged with homeless colonies and needed a fresh coat of paint, there was a certain rugged homeliness to this crazy, neglected city. I felt like here, history was constantly being rewritten. What more could a journalist ask for? It was shortly before Valentine's Day when entire cities became derelicts. First, it would start with a few missing persons cases. Missing person cases? I'm not actually sure, because again, I'm not the best copy editor. Is it both should be plural, persons and cases, or should it be missing person cases? Like persons is singular and cases is plural. I'm not sure. Let me know in chat. Let me know if anyone knows. A drifter here, a few college students there. Through the course of several days, the population would plummet by tens of thousands. Downward, that number would spiral until it flatlined. This happened all over the world too. Hong Kong, Morocco, Shinjuku, Dallas, Rio, Birmingham, the list went on. Police were stretched tight enough to snap, trying to address the disappearances while also maintaining order among the destabilizing populace. Looting reigned supreme between the business and residential districts. Arson, murder, and a general state of anarchy danced over the jaded cityscapes. The police couldn't even bother with the blockades for the highways leading out of town, which allowed the smart residents to escape. If it's multiple cases, then yeah, both would be plural. Okay, thank you, Crimson. Later on, deserters would be questioned by authorities, and their testimonies would make no sense. Regarding family or friends that didn't escape, they wanted those people dead instead of rescued. Media experts were blaming it on mass psychosis, a symptom of the as yet unexplained phenomena that was striking cities on a global scale. Hi, Ted. Welcome on in. It's good to see ya. There was no pattern to how these cities were hit. No cult had this level of mass influence. No known virus could cause this. Thank you for the hydrate or dihydrate. Here we go. There's your sippy. No known virus could cause this, no matter how unstable the mutation. It seemed the only alternative left was too preposterous for me to entertain. As soon as New York's population began to get cold, the other field journalists and I set out to investigate our scoops. Was this really how I was meant to get my Pulitzer? By leveraging an international panic and attaching it to an alien invasion? I went to the police just to look into missing persons cases. Much of the force was out in the streets. They screeched away from West 20th in the direction of a plume of fire that sprouted northwards. Oh, posture check. Okay, I thought it was another hydrate or dihydrate. I was gonna be like, Okay, everyone, we're not gonna do a posture check. Unshrimpify yourselves. Sorry, just to check up. You're all good. You're all good. I thought you were doing 2 hydrate or dihydrates, and then I was gonna be like, No, that's fine. We're all gonna unshrimpify our backs. We're all gonna put back our shoulder muscles. We're all gonna check our necks, twist them around real quick. My model's gonna go a little wonky. Are we all unshrimped? Have we all unshrimped ourselves? Nice, nice, nice. So the fire that sprouted northwards. Every car I passed was free of tickets. Apparently the police actually had real problems, for once. You need to cool down on hydrate. Oh no, I should get that set up. Is that my job? No, I had to tell Birds to do that. I entered the station's foyer. There were so few cadets and interns compared to usual, but the air was frenetic and tense. The receptionist was livid with stress as he was keying data into one of the latest IBM computers. I just made it home from work. Nice, nice. My shoulders were synced to my ankles. Oh no. Oh no, unshrimpify yourself, stretch, relax, get comfy and cozy, get a nice warm beverage. It's cold out in most places today. He was terse and completely disinterested in indulging me with any sort of interview or comment. As I was being turned away, though, I spied some officers going through the fire escape with tall stacks of paperwork. Through the fire escape? Oh my goodness. I trusted my intuition and came out to the side of the building. You're watching them, Chatty Patty. Careful, if you get them angry, they'll try to sacrifice you again. I bumped into a young man, possibly too young to even drink. He was quite apologetic to me, even though I was the one that sent a stack of paper and files tumbling. I knelt down to assist him, but also took the time to skim his paperwork for anything of interest. The idea that leapt to my mind was rather mean, and might even cost him his job in a typical crisis. But I had to get unfiltered and reliable information. Thankfully, the others were too wound up to assist him, as I had already volunteered for it, and they dashed back into the station to fetch whatever remained of their files to be stored in the armored van next to us. Posture check got me that William Dafoe pose. Oh no. We're actually just below the 50s. That psychotic cold front seems to have died off. Oh, nice, nice. Here it was so sad. I left yesterday, even though it was like had some cold snaps here in Central Florida. The like, you know, everything, all the greenery, all the trees and stuff were still holding on, right? I stepped out today, and I'm like, holy shit! It actually looks like it's fall up in New England. Like all the trees are bare, some of the leaves are dying, some plants are actually dying. The lawns are all dead around us. Like it actually looks like normal fall time in New England, which is weird here in Central Florida. It's for her blue tone that I hydrate Lord Cryptid. Oh, nice. All of them at once. Oh, dear God. Taking my share of his files, I placed them on top of the stack as he held it in waiting. Then I leaned in close and left a light kiss on his cheek, telling him to keep up the good work in my best southern drawl, before I teasingly dragged the brim of his hat down over his eyes, using his brief surprise to reclaim the stack that I gave him. So if you notice here, this one is also a bit of a run-on sentence here. This can be split up into like 2 or 3. careful, that might cause a singularity. The cadet let his stack tip over again. Perfect. I promptly left the station behind me. My heart was racing out of control as I took the papers to the nearest alleyway. I sank against the wall, waiting for my palpitations to calm down, gripping the wadded up notes in my fist. There was a hobo curled up beneath some newspapers, but I wasn't too concerned about him ratting me out. Trembling, letting my breath get steady in the cool air, I finally sorted out the notes in whatever passed for sequential order. You're translating a script in English and trying to adjust the rhythm. It's so different. Yeah, definitely. I feel like translators in general who do like stuff like for jokes or puns or that tone of voice, being able to translate that well between languages can sometimes be really, really difficult. It's very chiropractic. You English and your stressed, unstressed syllables. We're just all those other languages in a little trench coat. We have no rules here, no laws. There was a healthy garnishing of the usual destabilizing incidents that characterized this panic. However, 2 detective reports that made me stop breathing as I read were the following. 1. Mayor Cochran? Is that how you say it? Had apparently murdered his entire family at his estate. He'd been moved to the hospital to be treated for his injuries before awaiting questioning from authorities. The other was an unexplained wildfire that was currently razing Yankee Stadium to the ground. There was much less information available on this fire, but judging from the clouds turning charcoal black on the horizon, that seemed to be from Yankee Stadium. It was clear at this point I had to assume I only had the time to chase one of these leads. With the nature of the emergency at the stadium, everyone in the city would probably be clamoring to get a look at that action. Naturally, any sports journalists that were in there would already have a front seat to their scoop. It seemed like it would be a wasted gesture to report on it from the back of the crowd, only to write on what most of the other editors would already be preaching at greater depth. I'd be stuck with crumbs whether I went there or not. Again, long sentence. The mayor's family massacre definitely made for a byline that would practically write itself as a virtuoso. But getting to question him held an equally steep level of difficulty to the stadium, though with far fewer elements. He was under armed watch as the key suspect. Stopping briefly at a local bistro for the strongest cup of Colombian coffee they had, I gulped it down with cream and made my way back to my apartment. I phoned up a friend of mine that worked at the hospital as a registered nurse, named Allison Sinclair. The incredulity. If I look at it, I can't say it. Incredulity of her voice was not hard to pick up on as I asked her to lend me a nurse's uniform so that I could sneak into the mayor's hospital room unopposed. I knew quite well how much I was jeopardizing her career, but I was amazed to see she relented. Perhaps she was also curious as to the nature of the mayor's meltdown. Taking the time to grab a curly, dark wig and set it convincingly in place on my head, I left it messy in front of my face and took the next taxi to King's Country Hospital Center. Making my way through the lobby, it seemed to be too much a scene of pandemonium to keep track of a girl just wearing street clothes. Good. I crept into the bathroom and, locking myself in the stall Allison told me about, I reached into the unlatched vent and retrieved the nurse's uniform she left for me. Hurriedly changing into it, I came out, approached the mirror, put my hair in a bun, and applied some light makeup. I had no idea if my clothes and wig would remain undiscovered in the same hiding place, so I had to make this count. Incredulity. That's usually how I space it out. Okay. Yeah, see, I was totally guess. I'll do my best, though. That doesn't actually mean my best is very good. So in this case, so she's left the wig in the vent. I would almost wonder if she would keep the wig. That way, if anyone looks for her on security cameras, it would be you know, they'd be looking for somebody with like the short, different colored wig hair, rather than her actual face and hair. I came out from the bathroom with Allison casually waiting and bantering with me about how I'd forgotten the badge she'd handed me. I gave a quick glance before clasping it to my collar. Susan Greer, dietitian. The hospital barely had a little more than half of its usual staff to address the patients growing by the hour, and I tried my best not to let myself blanch at the thought of having to do anything related to medicine. Apparently, Susan Taggs was chosen because the mayor was also being treated for gout. Some rather unpleasant thoughts caused me to stumble a bit on my heels. I caught some curious looks from hospital personnel, but I did my best to simply look like I was exactly where I belonged. My attention turned to my surroundings. However, the patients that got priority seemed to be in a state of despondence. No, not despondence, more like detachment. I could hear doctors as we passed by, asking the patients if they had any sensations despite not having a pulse. One of their answers was a little on the cryptic side. We feel everything. It's actually your pulse we feel, doctor. Very cool line here. I like that. Almost right, we do get conversations, but some of the other conversations are almost skipped through really, Lego set leaks? What happened with the Lego set? The wig was just her street disguise. She didn't want to take the chance that it looked crooked when she makes it to the mayor's room. Famous paintings? But again, now that she's in the hospital and she's on the hospital cameras pretending to be a nurse, they're seeing her real face and hair. And that will make it easier to catch her in the act later, right? I think it would make more sense like, no, she's gonna wear a wig in the thingamajig. Sounds like Genie explaining demons and K-pop demon hunters. But what was I saying with the wigs? Do you deal with wigs at all? Are you a wig wearer? Do you know any girls who frequently wear wigs? Because if she already had a convincing wig in her house, I'm assuming this character is an at least occasional wig wearer. And then there are some people you can set a wig, you can wear a wig without removing it, and it will stay on your head for weeks if you do like the wig glue and everything, if you have all the different layers. So it shouldn't look like, oh, it's moving around, it's gonna fall off. If she's an experienced wig wearer and she has wigs in her house, she could absolutely like set a wig on and like it's gonna stay. It's gonna fucking stay. Not to be, but you can like some of these people who set a wig and that's what they're gonna wear for the week. Like yeah, they will go and that probably would work better, but it is 80s security cameras and she's dealing with. Okay, I was gonna ask him, like I was wondering about the setting, the time period. So this is the 80s. Okay. But yeah, even then, I think if you were looking, because again, I mostly do more developmental edits, the plot, the pacing, the characters, that kind of stuff. My first thought is, I think she should keep the wig. That would be a little bit more like, yeah, I don't want to get caught here with my face and hair. Recently got a brand deal for drawn eyebrows makeup. We should know the name. There's a lady on YouTube who runs the channel on her wig and makeup advice. Yes. There's not just one lady. There's several people who have very lucrative careers as wig businesses or as drag queens giving like wig secrets or just as beauty gurus talking about wigs and different stuff. What was I saying? Hold on, focus. ADHD moment here. Yeah, I was saying I like this dialogue from the patients, but we've actually gone through several scenes where there has been dialogue that I wonder if we should have heard some of it, like all this conversation with Allison when she's handing us the badge and stuff. It just says, oh yeah, she was waiting and bantering with me. I forgot the badge she handed me. I'm like, no, I actually kind of want this to be a full scene, like give us a paragraph or two of her stepping out and Allison's there. What does Allison look like? Does she look nervous? Is she trying to stay calm? She's like, oh, hey. And she says like the fake name on the badge. She's like, oh, you forgot your badge earlier. Here it is. Da da da. You're so silly. And then she has to put it on stuff. That might be a good scene, because right now it's just be like, oh yeah, like they talked, but I think you could actually show the conversation. Oh, she has no hair essentially. I knew a guy in high school with that condition. He became a swimmer. That's absolutely perfect, because yeah, they like trying to get as much hair off of their bodies, right, to be as like fast in the water as they can when you're in the swim teams. I know some people like that. Hold on, I'm gonna cough. Hold on. Oh, excuse me. But I really do like this song. We feel everything. It's actually your pulse we feel, doctor. What a time to not have my notepad out. I couldn't be seen with it though. I didn't want to attract more attention than I'd already done. But one woman in particular had a strange series of stigmata on her skin. As the doctors restrained her, I found myself lingering a bit to watch the phenomena dance on. No, out of her skin, as they began emergency treatment on her in the middle of the hallway. In my mind, the wig is just something she wears on an occasional date or something. Honestly, I hadn't put a lot of thought in the wig's application, but with paranoia being a central theme of Lovecraftian horror, I felt she'd be too nervous with going with the wig she entered with. That's what I'm saying, I think it's almost, I feel like she would be too nervous to be seen with her real hair. She's trying to be incognito in the hospital. You know what I mean? She's trying to be under the radar here. She doesn't want anyone to find out who she is or what she's really doing. So I'm wondering if it makes more sense for her to wear a wig here. If that would be more logical sense for this paranoid character. Yeah, I have a character with her head shaved like Kokona recently and wears a wig at work. Nice. What was I saying? So it's out of her skin as they began emergency treatment on her in the middle of the hallway. Her blood ran in rivulets down her throat, but it also seemed to oxidize in contact with the air, dancing like some strange green cosmic fire. The doctor, only briefly daunted, tried to snuff it with the white towels that would have been used to operate. This is a little wonky here, so with the white towels that would have been used to operate, that makes it sound like they used the white towels to operate, or rather than they used white towels during the operation. So with the white towels that would have been used during the operation would, I think, be more technically correct. Because in this one, it makes it sound like they're doing surgery with the white towels, like they're using the white towels to like cut them open and like rearrange their guts and like sew them back up. That's with surgical equipment. The white towels are just there to like blot up the blood. Recent brand deal, very cool. That's just a little line edit. I saw the markings creep out from under the cloth, however, and it seemed to manifest as some strange black vines or ivy. It was beautiful, but also ghastly in its predatory dexterity, lashing the doctor's hands. My thoughts were jostled by the touch of Allison's hand on my shoulder. She nudged me back to our task. She was right. I should not be so carefree about this ruse. I followed her, making the mental note to perhaps approach the intrepid doctor later for comment. His groans of pain faded behind us, and we finally approached our destination, guarded by 3 uniformed officers. The mirror was right in front of me, in room 422. I tried my best not to avoid eye contact with the police. They were incredibly on edge with everything they witnessed in this hospital, and they'd be more perceptive of suspicious behavior than even the staff. I told them that the patient had gout that would likely cause his state to deteriorate, and we were going to weigh different nutritional options that might speed his recovery. They slowly nodded, their gaze not breaking from mine as they let me in the door. Allison stayed outside to chat with them, likely to give me extra time to squeeze whatever details I could from the suspect mayor. I'm wondering, this would be something if we need more people who do work in hospitals. When you have a high profile client like that, and they are guarded, right? Because they are a suspect in a mass murder. Is it mass yet if it's just a few people? I don't know yet. There's a certain number that has to be reached for a mass murder. And mass murder and serial murder is different. Anyway, fun facts. I wonder, one, if in this time of crisis they would get 3 uniformed officers. Maybe 1 or 2, because you're talking about how like the police are being ragged, right? Like this is like basically an apocalyptic scenario for them. They're dealing with so many things. I wonder if it would only be like 1 senior officer and 1 rookie, just 2 guys. Having 3 seems a lot considering the rest of the crises going around. So I would say maybe max 2. And 2, if you could ask anyone who works in a hospital, like, hey, during the scenario when somebody is... I think if it's more than 2, it's a mass murder. Let's find out. How many people kill before it's a mass murder? Three or more people, excluding the main person. Mass shootings require 4 or more, but it's generally just for general murder, not shootings, it's 3. Okay. So yeah, I guess it depends. If it was a shooting, then yeah, it could be just 2 victims. But if it's just general murder, if it's just vampire cosmic horror murder, it has to be 3 or more at the same time. Which I think you said, it said earlier, this is his family in his house that he murdered. So yeah, that would be 1 singular incident in location. And if you guys were wondering, for serial murders, it's doing multiple murders, but at different times and locations. Yes, that search. We're writers. We're always gonna sound like serial killers in our search bars. It's just the nature of the beast. What was I saying? But yeah, I would, if you have anyone who works in a hospital, I would ask them, like, hey, if there was somebody who was restrained in the hospital because they are like a murder suspect, right? And you still have to treat them. What do the nurses and medical staff have to stop and get permission from the guards to enter the room? Or would it just be non-medical staff that would be stopped? That would be a thing. If you have any contacts or anyone you could question, that would be something I would ask. Because it could be they just like would stand aside because she looks like a nurse and they would just let her in. I swiftly let out my notepad from beneath my dummy patient notes and pinned it in place on top of my clipboard. My breath caught in my lungs, though, as I saw Mayor Cochran sitting up at the side of his bed. He seemed to be basking in the moonlight that streamed in through his window. There was a strange tightness in the room that made it seem much more narrow than it actually was. He turned toward me, the age lines etched deeper in his features than what I had seen on the television just the other day. That one can be reworded a little bit. The things he spoke did not seem to pertain to any questions I posed to him. His sanity seemed fractured, steeped with anguish over what he did to his family, what they had supposedly become. So this is telling rather than not showing. Your search history's gonna put you on a list. here's your hydrated. Here's your sippy. Oh, I've actually almost done with this cup. Damn. Yeah. Showed up to FBI for a free Rolex. I'm on a watch list. But yeah, right here. So rather than telling us and setting the scene with a few paragraphs over how like creepy he is, over the creepy things he's saying, like what words are he saying? How does he seem fractured and not mentally there? What is he doing that makes him seem like he's not aware of reality? That should be like a paragraph or 2, rather than just telling us, oh yeah, he seems spooky and he doesn't seem to know what's happening. Cereal themed dessert shop in Vegas called Serial Killers? That's cute. They were offering me gym things for a while. Am I on a wait list? I didn't get the joke until like the second after I said it. God damn it. I love how you just freeze when hydrate. Yeah, it's because I'm taking a sip with the cup and it blocks the tracking for a split second and messes with it, so then I just look like I'm frozen. And then I put down the cup and it's like, oh yeah, you're back. You know, like with little babies when you do like peekaboo and they don't have the object permanence yet, to understand that you didn't just disappear. It's kind of like that with tracking. Tracking's like, oh wait, where'd she go? Wait, I don't know what to do. She gone. She's disappeared forever. She's disappeared into the void. She got. Ah! And then like you put down the cup and it's like, oh phew, you're back. You're back. You're on a 5-stream streak? Oh my goodness, thank you. Still around, the only did stop posting to Instagram and TikTok. Where's the cryptid? Get like the little colorful keys jiggling in a corner, get some like little baby toys. Put that in the corner. But yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, this could be spread out more. We could actually have this as a paragraph overseeing the mayor and how he's acting. He spoke of the fire at Yankee Stadium and how so many more blazes just like that one illuminated the planet like candles in the blackness of space. He dug his fingernails into his cheek as he spoke, growing agitated as he described a certain entity that had orbited our planet for some time, using the sun itself as a blind spot to avoid detection from our satellites and telescopes. Whew, that's also a really long sentence. How I was running out of breath there. Cryptid mobile? Oh yeah, the little spinny thing above the crypts. That would actually be cute, having different like little jackalopes and like little Mothman and stuff. Oh my god, wait. Wait, that'd be really cute. Wait, you're onto something here. Shit. Yeah, see, even all this, like you're just saying what he said when we could have actually had the dialogue, like having the dialogue earlier. We feel everything. It's actually your pulse we feel, doctor. That's cool. This is just the narrator saying what a character said. But having instead actually doing the scene and writing out the dialogue would make it more immersive here. Merch opportunity. Alright, oh my goodness. A scratch at the window interrupted his stream of consciousness rambling. A small yelp escaped my mouth as I tripped backwards. 3 silhouettes loomed well in front of any potential footing that window ledge may have offered. The mayor cried out in a peal of uncanny horror I didn't expect to hear from a man, and one of the guards burst in, gun drawn. The figures reached to the glass, sliding their fingers through. What caused my brain to start doubting itself, though, was that the slender fingers parted the glass as if it had the same substance as a curtain. It was the mayor's family. And obviously some ghouls and spools? Ghouls and spooks? They had phosphorescent threads hanging over their heads, stretching out into the endless night sky, and hints of the same strange markings I saw on the earlier patient. The guard opened fire, while the bullets set fragments of their head and clumps of their golden hair flying. The gun ultimately proved ineffectual, as the mayor's wife and daughters were already in much worse shape. Cryptid, do you hunger? I had chicken nuggets earlier. I got the little treat. Why? What's up? What food did you want? Thank you so much. That's very kind of you. Thank you very much. But yeah, Roots. What? Anyway, for all my new raccoons, Knitbone here in chat is actually Roots. That's my sibling. So it's Cryptid. That's me, and Roots. Roots is Knitbone in chat. That's the only person you have to be nice to, because they can ban you. They're the only one with mod powers beside me. What food are you offering? Roots, answer me. What food do you want? Okie dokie, so no to a pizza? It's too late for Domino's pizza. If it was a Domino's pizza, I would say yes. But if it's a big powers. If it's like making one in the oven, then no, I'm full. I'm good. The guard opened fire. The gun ultimately proved ineffectual as the mayor's wife and daughters were already in much worse shape. Did Cochrane fire at them with a shotgun back at their estate? I edged my way along the wall, only now realizing there were gunshots popping from outside the room as well. I may very well be wandering into a death trap, but every instinct in my body was telling me to vanish from the situation. One of the daughters pinned the cop to the floor. You suspect that it's not roots? It is not root-shaped? What? What? Nipbom's the only roots I know. This is the only one. I'm wondering here as a suggestion, I don't think you've ever mentioned what age the daughters are. They could be young adult women, like in their 20s. This could be one of them's a teenager and one of them's like a toddler. And both of those things, like a young adult woman versus like a little like child, is gonna look very different and a very different horror vibe to who is pinning down a cop while their body looks like it's already been blown to pieces by a shotgun. You know what I mean? It's a very different image and how creepy it is. So maybe at this point also describing what the daughters and the wife looks like. I know they all have matching golden hair, I guess, but you know, are the two daughters different ages? Are they twins? That's actually really good. Detective Raccoon on the case. Stop! Pikachu, get out of my way! Have fun, Raccoon Army. That's it. That's from your commander. That's from your commander Roots there, telling you guys have to have fun now. Anyway. But yeah, I think describing whatever daughter it is that's pinning the cop down would add to the creepiness a bit. Where was I? Despite her face being ghoulishly half erased from buckshot, it was still quite sufficient in taking a bite out of the officer's throat. Hi, Roots. Conformist behavior is not my nature. Hey, actually, Roots, could you check how much ice cream there is left? Maybe you could even get me a little taste of ice cream if there's still some in there. Yeah. Ooh. Chat, we might be eating good tonight. The other two crawled onto the mayor's mattress, crooning at him as his cries of terror were reduced to the whimper of a dumb animal. I slipped out the door, the death-rattling screams of the two victims following me out. Vampires. This was the secret behind this world-threatening event. Vampires? The lights were still on in the hallway. I found myself very appreciative that there were no floorboards to creak with each careful and deliberate step I took. Wheelchairs and drip stands and gurneys were turned over, as if a hurricane had torn its way through the hallway. My thoughts were racing, but also sticky. Should I go for the slower but more discreet exit down 4 flights of stairs? Or should I stress test my already rotten luck with the elevator? My cup runneth over with all these delightful decisions. This one here almost takes us out of the moment a little bit. So we're in this very high-stakes scenario, right? Two people are actively dying by being torn apart by monster undead vampires in the room behind her. Everyone else that she has just seen minutes ago in this room are missing and looks like they have similarly been dead or running for their lives, right? And then it's this random poetic, my cup runneth over with all these delightful decisions. That almost takes us out. There's immersing the reader and then there's taking the reader out. This one is taking us out of the scenario here. I would suggest either replacing this line or changing it a bit, because I don't like the cup runneth over and delightful decisions. That's removing us from how spooky the scene is. A ceiling panel came crashing down just behind me. I froze. My heart thumped harder than the speakers at the Danzig show I went to a couple months back. The dust from outdated insulation spread around me, which caused my knees to bend lower. I hoped like mad the dust was making me just a tiny bit closer to invisible. The animalistic rasping betrayed the presence of something behind me. Slowly, my head turned. More ceiling fragments fell down, but mixed with that was the sing-song giggle of a little girl. I spun, and at my feet was Allison. She let out a whimper as the child I heard sat beside her, dabbling her fingertips with blood from Allison's throat. She then folded open a coloring book, scrawling the blood from her fingers within the flowers illustrated. Oh, thank you so much. I love you, Roots. Chat, I got ice cream. I know it's a cold night, but hey, it's never too cold for ice cream. Oh. No, actually, wait, maybe it is too cold. That felt Return of the King. Sing Hobbit. There is murder and ogres and battle and war and chewing. Ice cream. Hi, Ghost. She then... Also, the child's mouth and chin were caked with blood. You don't need the also here. It can just be the child's mouth and chin were caked with blood. She asked me to help her color the roses. They were always best when they were red. Again, this is a really good time where we could have this actually be dialogue, rather than the narrator just telling us. You think you have lost a big back train? What does that mean? I don't understand what that means. Anyway, hold on, I'm taking another bite. I knelt down, reaching for a white towel lying nearby to compress Allison's wound. The child snarled, with the lines in her face briefly warping into something that didn't even vaguely look human, before reverting to a firm and forceful child scowl. I froze and forced myself to nod in compliance. I reached down, smothering my nausea in my stomach as I allowed a couple rivulets, we don't really need that word here, of blood to dab on my fingers. I brushed my fingers on the page. Allison was going cold. You'll never be able to taste the Fruity Pebbles taco. I'm so sorry. That's why people have FOMO, fear of missing out, because of stuff like this. You know, now look at you. You missed out. Isn't it so sad? Now you'll have FOMO for the rest of your life. You were convinced they were sleep texting. Here, it's just a minor line edit. I would just revert these two sentences. I would say Allison was growing cold. I brushed my fingers on the page. I'll just do one before the other. As the child busied herself with her little tapestry, Allison gestured to her own hand. She held a shard of glass concealed under her wrist. With the most invisible and static of movement, I'm not sure if movement is static. You've been FOMO'd. Oh. I slowly took the glass piece while my free hand continued to draw whatever strokes of blood that hadn't dried from my fingers. I blacked out for a fraction of a second as I watched the little girl feed off of the bite wound from Allison's throat. I leaned back behind the girl, ready to put this crude and ugly implement to work to save my friend. Before I touched it to her throat, though, I saw what seemed to be an ethereal circuit running from the girl's head to the night sky, outside the broken window. I grasped the cord. So the threads hanging from the heads of those women weren't just a hallucination. The girl's head jerked back, her eyes rolling back in her head. Two needle-like fangs stretched out of her mouth as her guttural deluge of agony rang through the halls. The pure and dainty innocence of this child was erased in the concussive roar of a creature that one could only describe as rabid and not of this planet. It was seized in pain. There was no way I could let it go again. Its feral arms flailed and the skin rushed with blood beneath skin that became less opaque. I drew the glass across the cord. Like a puppet relinquishing its strings, she crumpled where she sat on the floor. She leaned on my shoulder as I guided us down the stairs. We thankfully had no more insanity to encounter, at least while on the premises. Oh wait, I skipped some. I skipped a paragraph. My bad. Where she crumpled where she sat on the floor. The skin rapidly turned to cinders, and I pushed the horror and dread of my experience to the back of my mind as I knelt down beside Allison, letting her walk me through the steps on how to treat her wounds. Thankfully, there wasn't much beyond applying some antibacterial ointment and dressing her up with bandages. Again, could be very spooky and scary and like sad to actually talk about the lines and have that dialogue and make this another like paragraph or two of Allison like gasping through the wound on her neck, like, grab the towel, hold it tight against here. There's ointment in the overturned cart over here, and she's like running to grab the ointment. She comes back, she's like, okay, what do I do? And then she's like, lift this up, put it over here, put it on the bite marks, and then there's bandages right next to you. I need you to wrap it really, really tight. I can't keep bleeding, like, having her do that scene. And having to walk her friend through, having Allison have to walk her own thread, which is the narrator, through how to save her own life. That'd be a heart-wrenching scene. That would be so scary. And then maybe even as like there are noises coming from down the hall, right? The mayor's daughters are still killing the mayor and that gunman, right? Or if not, maybe those sounds suddenly are quiet and they're just hearing the rustling of some of these other vampires on other floors of the hospital, and they're like, oh shit, like you're having to whisper these instructions to me, but we're having to be like really, really quiet because what if another one of those monsters comes back? You know what I mean? Maybe even as she like goes to like grab the antibacterial ointment, does she trip over the corpse of the little girl vampire? She's like, I just killed somebody. Hey, I never want you to think your first story is clunky. It's anyone. If you look at someone who's a master writer who's written like 100 best-selling novels, and you ask them like, hey, I need you to write a first draft for like your 101 best-selling novel, right? And they write a first draft. Guess what's gonna happen? Their first draft is gonna be shit. It's gonna be clunky. It's gonna be weird. It's gonna have all the errors. Because it's a first draft. It's an early draft of their story, and then they do the work of editing and revising and replanning things out and fixing things and fixing plot holes, and then re-editing and doing the line corrections and the sentence and grammatical corrections. And they go through all that work to finally then have a good book that can go on to win awards. So I never want you guys to feel bad about something being clunky. That's what this is for. I'm not giving you advice because like I'm a perfect writer. My writing's full of shit, and I need other people to look at my work to help me with my errors. That's just the nature of this hobby and this career, whatever level you're at in your writing. If it's just for fun or if you're trying to do it as a career, both things are true. It's gonna have errors when it's just your earlier attempts at doing it, and that's why we have other people help us like this. That's what critique circles are for. God, this ice cream's so cold. She leaned on my shoulder as I guided us down the stairs. We thankfully had no more insanity to encounter, at least while on the premises. We got in our car and drove off to my apartment, where I got her some food to regain her lost iron and let her rest in my bed. And there I was in my office, making the final touches on my byline with an old analog typewriter, beneath the glow of a few candles I had in my wardrobe. Electricity went out for the block a couple hours prior. I sighed between cupped hands and leaned back in my seat, staring at the ceiling as I sucked my cigarette down to its filter. I went through whatever extra care and steps I could to treat Allison's injury, but the glow of the cigarette's cherry reminded me of how the child erupted with cosmic energies, as if a filament had burned itself out within her. Gore and disintegration blossomed in the peripheral vision of my memory, and I tried to pretend the ashes were just dust from the insulation, and my instincts as a journalist fought for but a glimpse as I carefully wrapped my friend's throat up. This one is this one. This one's a run-on sentence, and the ending of it is a little bit clunky, so I would split it up and clarify the second part of it. Writing is like setting up a party, drinking with a friend, and cleaning up the vomit afterwards. That's a fucking great analogy. Oh, I'm not beating myself up over it? That's good. The thing is several years old though. Oh, really? So it's been a while since I've gotten fresh eyes on it. I also had an ex that was smitten with this story. Like, she'd read it before bed and everything. So I'm glad I'm getting a more objective critique on it. Yeah, and that's what I'm here for. I know sometimes when we have like really close family or friends looking at it, they just tell us something is good. And it's like, no, but how do I get better? Because our writing craft, we're always trying to get better, right? And sometimes when it's our loved ones, they're not always giving us praise, which is really nice. It's really nice if you have family or friends giving you praise. That's an incredible thing for them to be your personal cheerleaders. But if you're looking at them for critique, sometimes they're not always the best at critiquing. And that's where beta readers, that's where critique circles like this, that's where editors, stuff like that, writing partners, critique partners, that all comes in handy of having that person who kind of gets what story you're going for and can offer feedback to help you achieve it. When do you find time to write about your script? About me, myself? Or are you asking about 10? Since 10 also writes a lot of scripts. For me, myself, it was first during November. That was every single day I was writing my rough draft live on stream until the critiques kind of started taking over. And then I was doing my script off stream before I went to bed. And we were just doing the critiques on stream. Oh yeah, me, okay. Since November, I then put it down for a bit and I was trying to talk about with some of my critique partners to get their feedback on it. But it was a little bit more horror and gore than what they normally like. I normally just wrote more fantasy before, not necessarily like horror. And so some of them weren't liking it. It's just not their genre, so they didn't want to read it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's valid, that's whatever. So then I put it down for a little bit, and I was just fixing up the plot holes, like technical, like reorganizing events, fixing up plot holes, making everything more coherent for a few days, rather than actually formatting it. And since then, I normally now, with after that was December, January, and now the beginning of February, I am mostly do it every other day. So the streaming schedule went from every single day I stream to every other day. So now the days I don't stream, I'm working on my own writing. So one day I'm streaming, the next day it's my writing, and it just alternates between the two. So that's kind of the balance I'm working on right now. Which, fun fact, fun announcement for everybody. It's good to not be crushed, but it's good to not be always pat on the back. Yeah, having that balance, having people to encourage you, but and not crush and decimate your work, but to give that feedback, and you need that balanced little team behind you, right? I think that's always good. But yeah, fun update. I don't think I've mentioned this to anyone yet. I've mentioned before I was looking, because of this has been going so well in chat, having the critiques, and people kept asking like, oh, are you an editor? And I'm like, no, I'm not an editor. I'm just your little blue friend on screen. But it kind of encouraged me. I've been looking at taking editing courses and being a developmental editor seriously, and I finally pulled the trigger earlier today. I chose which course I wanted to do to get a certificate. There's no like official certification, but there's like you can get certificates from different courses and stuff. I chose what course I wanted, and I bought the course. I'm all paid in, it's all set up, and I'm going to start taking a developmental editor course. And maybe in the future I'll be an official cryptid developmental editor. Can you guys believe it? I think I'll be the first cryptid to ever be an editor. That's pretty fancy, right? I don't know of any other cryptids that are editors. I haven't heard from like Bigfoot or Sasquatch or the Yeti, and I don't think any of those guys are editors. So if I'm the first cryptid ever that's like an editor, like an official editor, that'd be pretty cool, right? That's like crazy. But yeah, that's something I'll be working on in the background. So that will probably take over my writing time and working on my Three Little Witches script. But I think it's good for the long run. That way, maybe then I'll be better at giving advice and critique in these streams, and be a little bit more official. You know, not just a random person giving you guys. Nessie is actually a ghostwriter? They never told me. They didn't tell me at the last family reunion. Oh my goodness. But hey, a ghostwriter is technically still different than an editor, so it's still valid. Why stop at an editor certification? Become forklift certified. Papa Cryptid is actually forklift certified. Can you believe it? He became forklift certified. And as part of the training for he's working at the same company for many, many years now, but he's in a different department, and part of that was he had to be forklift certified. Sorry, I'm trying to eat this cold ice cream. But yeah, so I'm not forklift certified. Papa Cryptid is, though. Fun facts. He's also a master archer. So where was I? Can't forget my friends throw it up. What was even happening to me? This should be a question mark. I had no time to think about what side of me this crisis was bringing out before I felt a movement in the office doorway. Allison stood there, a calm and pleasing smile on her face, and her lips a more stark crimson than I'd ever seen on her usually peach-hued mouth. Her skin held a serene glow in the candlelight, and she asked me to change her bandages. It was but a flicker, but I saw the thread-like cord hanging above her head. It was at this point I dove out the window, landing on the fire escape on the rickety old balcony. I had to run. Allison had been infected. Blah, 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 blah. Don't listen to me. I can't. Being forklift certified gave you some ethos? Not forklift certified yet. I feel like I already have so many like hats I juggle. I am like an official seamstress. I'm a historical seamstress. I can do entire garments, and I've made entire garments completely hand sewn without a sewing machine using historical techniques. I'm an embroidery artist along with Roots. We do digitizing for the embroidery, so we're professional digitizers as well. I'm becoming an official editor soon, which is kind of a crazy thing to do. Can you guys believe that? When people talk about doing streaming or content creation, how it changes their lives. I've only just been streaming for just over 3 months. If you look at November, December, January. And then you can look at this and it's like kind of crazy. It already has impacted my life because I wouldn't have even thought of being a developmental editor before this, before there was so much interest in hearing my thoughts and hearing what I had to say in my critiques. And then me realizing I kind of liked it. I like sitting here chatting and reading your stories and giving feedback. And now I'm like, oh, I should pursue this. I should go further with this. That would have never even been a thought in my little blue head before all this. You never did become forklift certified. My previous employment left me wanting. You're the first critique I ever received. Yeah, and hey, I love your scripts, Ten, and I really do believe you're gonna go incredibly far with your talent for both your art and your script writing for these comics. I'm excited to see what projects you'll continue to do. And it's not just you, several people on here, right? I'm the first critique they've ever had. Some of them even say, like, they've never even shown their work to their own family or friends, and they first are brave enough to share it here live on stream to me, which is an incredibly brave and very thoughtful thing to trust me with. And I take that very seriously. You never considered being an editor before your head became blue. Oh my god. That's so... That's true. Oh my goodness. Man, everyone's writing scripts and books and shit. I'm just practicing to be a teacher and writing a Pokemon fanfic. Other people have also been writing fanfics. You're not the first fanfic writer here, and I love having the fanfics. And honestly, I dislike how sometimes people feel, even other fanfic writers feel like, oh no, it's not a real book, it's not a real thing, it's just fanfic. I'm just a fanfic writer, I'm not a real author. Because I'm like, do you understand how many like hugely successful franchises have started because even though they're technically fan fiction? Um, hey man, write what drives you. Exactly. Like, you can even look. BBC Merlin is literally that TV show that highly like fans love that TV show, except for the ending, but fans love that TV show. That's just King Arthur fan fiction, written for TV. Same with BBC Sherlock. Sorry, I mentioned two BBC shows back to back, but BBC Sherlock is just modern day. It's a modern day AU of Sherlock, alternate universe. AO3 mentioned. I actually have. Me and Roots make AO3 patches on our Etsy shop. We have AO3 merch. Because I'm an AO3 heathen. But those are franchises that are officially like approved, like fanfic things. Do you know what I mean? Dude, I write and draw graphic novels. I'm like the least legitimate in literature here. I don't ever want you to think that, Ted. Please don't ever say that. It's a new. I always say here, it's not always about novels. It's the mediums of storytelling. Your method of storytelling is highly visual. That's what comics are. Comics are a more visual but static medium to tell a story. Then you do have animated web novels. Sometimes they have animations, and that's a semi-static visual storytelling medium. Sorry. TV shows and movies are a visual and moving medium of storytelling, but with very, or at least normally, very little prose. We're not getting a lot of like words. We're just having to show, not tell too much. Versus novels, which are entirely prose. There's different ways of telling a story, and different stories are told in better ways than others. But that doesn't make one like better or inferior than the other. You just love writing in your universe, chatting that? Yeah. Meaning a queer romance novel with fan fiction as a central element. Oh, very cool. I was talking to posting your story on AO3. Yes, AO3 mentioned. I'm just writing a Peter Pan fanfic where Wendy gets thrown in a sanitarium because she tells her parents about a trip to Neverland. And they think she was abducted by Jack the Ripper. Oh, that sounds fucking dope. That sounds fucking fantastic. And you see what I mean? That's even original enough that could be... I don't want you to think like, oh, it's just a fanfic and it will never like get picked up. That's original if that could be its own thing. Kind of like how, what is it, Peter and the Starcatchers? That's a novel that got published, right? And it's inspired by Peter Pan, right? Look, even thinking about writing a Power Rangers fanfic. Do it. In my opinion, you like fanfics better than the rest of writing. I love how fanfic writing isn't framed with capitalism and pleasing general audiences. Yeah, a lot of times you're just writing for yourself or for like one person if they like request a fanfic. It's just me, but like all the posts on the social media is bringing up pleasing audience in one way or another. That's true. I feel like fanfic, it's since it's for a niche, it's just for you or for like other people in your fandom who like that type of stuff. It's more of like friends sharing stuff, even though like again it might all be anonymous, right? It's like a bunch of kids on a playground playing pretend with each other, and they're all playing the same game. They're all playing tag. They're all playing pretend, whatever. When you're doing content creation on other social medias, or you're doing a business such as novel writing, such as making your own thing, you are trying to generate a following, and sometimes a following versus a community are different, and they feel different. I feel like with fanfic it feels like a community, and sometimes with a following it feels like you're just being, like you said, capitalism, you're just being fed more things to buy. I don't think keeping general audiences in mind is as crippling to creativity as some think. limitations build creativity argument. And I do agree with that. I think I'm just saying like that difference in how you're as a follower engaged with it. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying. Like compared to someone who's just being force fed to buy more stuff to consume more content to follow this person feels different than being in a community when you're all like sharing and engaging with each other for funsies. It feels different being involved in them. Overly commercial. It's definitely for a certain demographic. Oh my goodness. But anyway, I think we're actually nearing the end of this. Hold on. Let me take a bite of my super cold ice cream on this super cold night. Allison had been infected. Central Park was my last place of refuge. I could only hope that running and hiding through the park would buy enough time for daylight's salvation, just as it was in the movies. I ran for refuge at Belvedere Castle, feeling my extremities start to shut down in the cold. I reached down as I moved, grabbing a bunch of newspapers to wrap around myself for any extra bit of insulation I could manage. I shut out the thoughts that I was going to become one of them, and hobbled my way to the antiquated tower. 4:55. That was what the clock hands read. The daylight would be here very shortly. Depends on writer to writer. Some writers are more in the general audiences than others. Which you fit to a T, apparently. Did you say ice cream? Yes, I have ice cream this cold night. It's a long-distance relationship between two fandom nerds between England and USA. Fanfiction writing, queer love, triangle. Okay, I'm only a bit ace. Has anyone in chat? You guys don't have to like go into details about it. I'm just curious. Do you guys ever do like long-distance relationships? I could never. I genuinely could never. Some people have like online relationships or long-distance relationships, and I'm like, no. Oh my goodness. Ice cream for my ice cream? Do you want my ice cream? I was in high school at the time before dating apps existed. I'm scorned. I've had some experience with them. I don't recommend. I feel like that's the thing, right? I feel like some people can pull it off and like good for you. But in general, it doesn't actually like make me... No, I have better. No relationship. Hey, 10, honestly, if you've seen my relationships, that is absolutely better. It's absolutely better. If I could go back in time and choose between no relationship and the relationships I was in, absolutely, I'd choose no relationships. Mama Cryptid, one of her big advices for me growing up was that sometimes nothing is better than something. A lot of people stay in a bad stuff, bad things, because at least it's something. Like, this might be the only person who loves me. This might be the only person who pays attention to me. And it's like, yeah, but it's so bad, it's so horrible that having nothing, having no relationship is better than the shit that one relationship is giving you. Mama Crypt is a huge advocate for that. You prefer long distance. Give me excuses to leave my country. Oh, Triangle, you're gonna say long distance relationship's a big nope. Big nope. You don't need relationship. I'm too self-focused. Yeah, I've actually stayed out of relationships for... Dear God, I broke off my engagement in 2020, beginning of 2020. Either the very end of 2019 or the very start of 2020. That's when I broke off my engagement. And then I haven't seriously dated. I haven't actually, no, I haven't dated at all since. I tried going on the dating apps, but those were like so awful and horrific. I didn't actually go on any dates from them. So that's kind of crazy, right? I've been single for 5 years and something months. Isn't that crazy? How has time gone by? But the daylight would be here very shortly. The door creaked open before my hand touched it. Alliston stepped forth from the pitch darkness, grasping me before I could do anything. Her arms sneaked around me, and she trilled in a low voice about how sweet my blood smelled. Again, same critique. We want to actually hear the dialogue. I want to have the actual lines she's saying, not just the generic, oh, this character was saying stuff like this. Make it creepy. Make it that extra oomph. Give me the dialogue. And it always end bad. I prefer to keep a friendly relationship that isn't strained. I haven't been in relationships in years. Feels bad, man. I don't want you to feel bad about it. Like, hey, I've been single for 5 years and something months here. It gets a little like I miss the good points of my past relationships, but also like, man, dating other people are annoying. I'm already trying to leave Canada, to be fair, so I'm okay with long distance for that reason. That makes sense. I'm in North Texas where romance goes to die. Right now I'm just saving up to move to Seattle and maybe work my game on some cute book nerds. Oh my goodness. Oh, hello! Welcome to Cryptid Cult. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I hope you like hanging out. If we move and we wanted to move stay in the US, I would seriously consider Seattle because it's so rainy, it's so gloomy. And I'm one of those people that does really well in that environment. The rest of the Cryptid family would not. The rest of the Cryptid family wants sunlight and warmth. But if we were to stay in the US, I would be so tempted to go and check out Seattle. That's one of the places I would love to visit. But otherwise, the big goal, thank you for the posture check. The big goal is I'd actually love to move to the Netherlands in the future. That's where I'd like to go. Well, I mean, I wouldn't feel bad about it if I wasn't lonely. That means you need more cats. Wait, I'm a crazy cat lady. Maybe don't take advice from me. If you're lonely, you just need more cats. Just slap some more cats in there. Your mom tried setting me up with a neighbor's daughter too. I literally made her bored as fuck on the date. No, Chatty Matty. Hello, Hugo. It's good to see you. Love the environment, but I also got a couple of online buddies I sometimes play Buckshot Roulette with. Oh, I've seen that game. That looks fun. Hello, Rio. It's good to see you, though. I'm trying to finish up talking about this thing, and then I'll give my critique and my advice. But sorry, I'm just yapping a little bit. I got sidetracked. Hopefully you don't mind too much yapping and sidetracking in your streams. You got boyfriend zone not so long ago. Turns out trusting other people to know where friendship ends was not the move. Oh no. Look, I feel like sometimes guys like try to girlfriend zone me like really, really fast. They're like, oh, you're, and I'm like, no, I was just being nice. I was just being friendly. We were just hanging out. We were just being friends. Sometimes feel more lonely around people than alone. I definitely feel like if they're not like my kind of people, that kind of happens too. I'm considering moving to Canada or the UK, but at this point I'm not going to stay in the US. I've learned that another country won't magically make problems go away. Besides, I like Ohio. Oh, you're in Ohio. What even happens in Ohio? I feel like things are just so crazy in the US here, especially here in Florida. And you know, me and Roots we are both like LGBTQ plus, etc. All the alphabets. And you know, Mama Cryptid, her maiden name, you know, is Fernandez. You know, like it's you know, some certain things that are happening in Florida here, it's not the most. So we're hopefully everything works out, but things sometimes get worse day by day. That we're keeping our options open, that we might have to like get the fuck out of Dodge at some point. You know what I mean? Let's see. We get drunk while we play, and I love that the game rewards playing like a big stinky cheater. Yeah, same. I was just being nice and willing to roll with how they wanted things to be. Rookie mistake. Rookie mistake triangle. Anyway, but yeah, the dialogue here, make it the actual dialogue. I don't want to hear all these cool things these spooky people are saying. I told her she should let me go and hide back inside, and she giggled playfully at the idea. Was she seriously not scared of the sun? It couldn't be true, but she held my head up to look at the sky. Backlit by flashes of lightning. No, missile fire from both fighter jets and anti-air turrets. There was an unimaginably gargantuan mass of what seemed to be aquatic muscle. Tendrils flicked out and stabbed down to the ground. The gunfire that erupted was not pointing upwards, but rather level to the ground. This thing, Alison's sire, was not of this world. What concern was the sun to this monstrosity when it drifted through space to visit us? And it's just a blank page here. But, so yeah, that is the end. So I really like it. It's not just normal vampires. The big cool bit about this is they're like, cosmically, like Cthulhu created vampires. Which I think is a really interesting twist on the genre. I really like that tidbit. So let me take a bite of my cold ice cream on this cold day. Change turret to battery. Hydrated, hydrate. Okay. Here's your sippy. Here's your sippies. Oh my god, there's like a little speck of ice. There's a little speck of ice in my cup of water. You guys, there's a little speck of ice in my cup of water. I didn't put any ice in this water. Guys, there's a little speck of ice in my water, but I didn't put any ice in this water. Oh my god, it's that cold. Oh my god. These aren't normal vampires, these are vampires. Wanna guess what real world creature I based the sire off of? Well, it has aquatic muscle, there's tendrils. Is it an octopus? Is it an octopus that you based it off of? Is the tank turrets. Very interesting discussion over here about the military terminal. Cryptid has all the chill. I'm in Florida. I don't want the chill up in Florida. Floridians aren't meant for the chill. Back when I was a baby in Massachusetts, this would be understandable. In fact, there should be more ice if it was in Massachusetts. But what do you mean this is happening here in Florida? An anglerfish. Oh, how cool. Well, also on theme with Iron Lung coming all out, because the original Iron Lung game, the monster wasn't as Lovecraftian. It was more anglerfish inspired. So how actually that cool that that's happening here, but very, very neat. So I like the cosmic Lovecraftian entity being behind the vampires. I think that's cool. Here's me basing the Wicked One's current appearance a bit on Cthulhu. Funny, how cool, right? So we did some minor little critiques and edits, like some little line edits, me talking about like the 15 degrees and some other stuff. But for actual developmental edit critiques, right, like the big picture stuff, things that we're talking about point of view, pacing, characters, all the different stuff. My first critique would be actually the tenses used. Time once again for my anglerfish trivia. Oh, please give some cool things about anglerfish. So one, it starts off with present tense, with her already fleeing from Alison the Vampire, right? Let's see. The large toothy one we all know is always female. Yeah, it basically abducts its victims, reforms them into new bulbs, and tries to lure loved ones into the same process. Vampires can't enter premises without being invited. You may say that this giant fish is angling for an invitation. The male is very tiny and, well, have fun reading about their life. Yeah, don't they just end up fused to the female? If I'm thinking of the right fish. I could also just be completely wrong. But, so anyway, further critique. It starts off, this is technically them running away from Alison the Vampire. And then, so, in present tense. Because Central Park welcomed me. Somehow I could just tell this is all present tense. Or was it actually new? And then it says, I guess I should start from the beginning. My name is Ellie Marsh. Then we have some background info about her. And stuff. Then we have background of the lore. So this is the current time. Then we have the back lore of our character and the back lore of our world for a couple of paragraphs. And then we're continuing with present tense, but it's now technically in the past, of her describing the lead up of how she went to the police station and stuff, but still in present tense. So since I know it's a big edit, but we're talking about the big picture stuff, I think this would matter. I would actually rather start at here, because this intro is what? Before we actually get to the main timeline here. Is here. This is when it starts. So that means the entire first page goes 1 through 2 different points of view, 3 different points of view. 2 different points of view, and neither of them are the actual point of view that you, not point of view, the timeline you start with. One is later on into the future, then we go back into the past, and then we go into the more recent past of how this day started. So it's swapping timelines here a little bit. The actual story starts here, which is like New York's population's being called, all this stuff is happening in the world, and she's out at the police station trying to get info. I'm behind on chat a little bit. Also, the Wicked One's original appearance isn't the Cthulhu appearance, it's something else. Yeah, they're tiny and white, they attach to the females and basically fuse with them. What's another name for a beach? Face that me. Shore? Why? Thank you. Very sneaky, very sneaky. Sneaky vampires. But yeah, I would, and I know you said this is an older piece, so I'm not even sure if you're looking to heavily edit this piece or just take this knowledge with you when you work on future stuff. It just depends. But nailing that consistent starting point rather than hopping along in the timeline in the first page, in the first 2 pages, having that consistent good start, in which case it seems to be here. She's at the police station. It's overcrowded. Everyone's frantic. There's the fire happening at the stadium. She's trying to find information, and she steals some of the papers from this cadet. That's where it feels like the start is. So what was that vampire fae meme? I'm not sure. Maybe I'm behind on all the cool memes. I am a cryptid after all. I'm still learning about humans. I'm still catching up with the technology. But yeah, that will be my first developmental edit suggestion. My first developmental edit, like, critique. I think the start in that timeline in the beginning has to be reworked, so we start sooner here. And then the second, we're talking about plots and characters. You probably will play through some heavy-duty versions. I care very much about how my readers enjoy the reading of my prose. Where do you put your prose? Where are you at? Where are you posting all this stuff? Vinci reads Vampire and Fae. I'm not sure I'm familiar with that. Because I'm not. This is all original stuff, right? So I know you can post original stuff on AO3, but I think people mention it's harder to find a fan base there, right? Because most people go to AO3 for like fandom stuff rather than original content. I think you still can though. So I'm just wondering where you're posting it up at. Where can all your followers find you? So that was my first critique, and then the second one, I think I mentioned it earlier, was talking about the wig, right? And if this is like in the 80s, I would say work on that setting, make it a little bit more clear. This is 80s, this is a little bit retro for us. Schrodinger's hospitality rules. You're looking to start posting snippets on Insta soon. Nice. Instagram. Where was it? So make it a little bit more clearly, set in the 80s, just in the tone and the vibe. You don't have to be like, just say, how's it going? Very nice. We're just finishing up this critique here. And I would suggest the the change with the wig. I think she should wear the wig while she's in the hospital because she's trying to be hidden. And maybe if you don't want her wearing it for too long, if it's just like a hastily put on thing, when she's running out after the vampires attack the mayor, maybe then the wig falls off, exposing her real hair, right? Oh, the Fae has dominion over who eats Fae food. Vampire has dominion over who they feed on. And that'd be here a while. I have seen that. Yes, yes, yes. Cloak and Stagger Publishing. Is that your username on Instagram? Very, very cool. But otherwise, I think those are my two ones. And then I had the minor thing of like, hey, you should actually write out the dialogue. That'll be very cool and set the mood and set those creepy vibes better. But otherwise, I'm gonna leave my critiques there because I feel like even just those critiques would like, one, be a lot of work, and two, elevate this piece so much. It is a really cool concept, these cosmic horror vampires that aren't affected by sunlight, and that it is this kind of anglerfish. It's luring new victims in, using the bodies of the previous ones that fell. It's a very cool concept. We're just like fixing up some of the technical writing. I'm not really messing with the plot too much. I think the plot and the concept are solid. It's just the technical craft of the writing where I'm like, oh yeah, we should start at one particular point and go through. Let's have that dialogue be all spiced up. Let's actually read it. Let's get all those creepy vibes, and then we can do those little technical things that happen in the plot with the wig. I think she should wear it at the hospital. But otherwise, it was a treat reading this. I really liked it. I'm so sorry that sometimes I keep forgetting that your username Zatra and then Honeyboy are the same person. It's so funny where I'm like, no, it's a different username. This is it. You know, it's like, oh, a platypus, and then you're like, no, you like put on the other username. I'm like, Perry the platypus. Doofenshmirtz level brain over here. But otherwise, so let me go ahead, and that was more one here. Let me go ahead and get rid of that. Thank you so much for submitting. I hope some of my rambling helped. Thank you so much for reading, Cryptid. Thank you so much for submitting it. I know like having critique and feedback live on stream is scary. So the fact that like we can all actually hang out here and you guys do submit things and you guys wait patiently for me to read it and actually like listen to my thoughts and stuff on it, and we can all talk about things and give advice in chat is like, it's like kind of a dream come true, right? I feel like this is a really special community where we can handle this stuff and we can talk about and help each other improve. It's like really cool. Reminds me, you saw a Hank Green episode with Brennan Lee Mulligan. Commenter asked why Hank looked like he was dressed as a platypus. So funny, so funny. Platypus looking people. Isn't that so crazy? Mama Cryptid and me were talking earlier. Because we were talking about Iron Long, how Markiplier was like this game streamer, and then he did more creative things on YouTube, and then he did Edge of Sleep, and now, you know, he like self-did this huge project, which is a movie, and just kind of starting at how it's that framework built years ago and just keeps growing and growing bigger and bigger, until you can get to that point to do such a massive project. It's been years in the making to get the stepping stones in order to actually do such a big project, right? And we were talking about some other creators too, like, yeah, no creator ever starts out with like 1 bajillion followers that help them do cool things. It's that slow buildup of a community and doing new projects and building up all the different skills you have in order to do cool things over time. And so all the stuff you accomplish like 3, 4, 5 years in the future is all because you did like the first steps today. And we were talking about things like Mama Cryptid was like, wouldn't it be so cool if one day like you're a creator like that, if one day you and all your like little raccoon friends, while you're being a booba person on Twitch, and I'm like, Mama Cryptid, stop saying that. She's like, yeah, your little booba avatar on Twitch, I'm hip, I know all the words. She's like, wouldn't it be cool if one day like you can do a cool project like that? And I'm like, man, that'll be really neat. Maybe one day maybe one day I'll have like I can have all these cool new ways to finance and host my own cool like writing projects and stuff, and all because like I was just brave enough to hang out with some people here on stream and talk about stories and talk about writing craft. Isn't that crazy? You're stuck here forever. Cryptid, am I hostage now? Ah, yes. To be fair, I was just checking if people were actually reading some of the shit I wrote here. I'll be like Maury and her Funko Pop is on the shelf and the mother finds it and her mother finds it. Oh my goodness. It was stuff like here, so like that I actually technically wrote like a, because people are talking about this is the weave screen. I did like a little funny thing here where there's another weave hidden here. And then it's like a secret message of, did you see the other weave I put in there? So like there's like some little secret messages and stuff sometimes. I figured until I actually get like a little waiting background screen, I would just do some little funny stuff with this. Maddie activated hostage magnet. You don't read the screen past the glorious weave. Well, then you missed this weave. It's all the way down here. Look, you missed this one. You missed it, Triangle. You missed it. It was right down here waiting for you. She did that so quietly. I don't even think Author Relic's here in chat so far. He's not even here for our joke. God damn it. Maury's not 100% happy with the Funko Pop. Maybe just like me and not liking Funko Pops generally. Yeah, I'm kind of... Sometimes Funko Pops kind of look at you a little soullessly, right? It kind of looks at you like how this model stares into your guys' soul unblinking when I'm not here. And I get out to go look at what my cats are doing. It gets a little creepy sometimes, right? We did it elegantly. But otherwise, what time is it? It is just a little bit past midnight. So I think this was some... We did 2 today? We did 2 pretty good critiques today. And I feel pretty good with the feedback and suggestions I gave. So I think for now, I'm going to go ahead and call this a night. But thank you guys for hanging out with me, even with the tech issues. This is actually all being hosted because Roots put their phone and they made a hotspot for the laptop to connect to. So I think they'll probably want their phone soon before it gets too late. You're not allowed to use that word. That's right, because you used it so wrong. I forgot that. That's right. I'm like, Chatty Matty, I don't think you understand what elegant means. But yeah, goodbye everyone. Thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you guys for chatting and giving other critiques and suggestions and feedback to whichever raccoon is on screen. I love hanging out here with you guys and getting the chance to do this. And yes, I, because of you guys, have actually taken the leap and I am in the in a course. I'm gonna try my best to be an actual real developmental editor. Hardcore streaming be like. But thank you guys so much and have a wonderful night. Stay warm, stay cozy, and stay safe out there. Goodbye.